Let's talk about this. The U.S. Coast Guard to net wayward Chinese fishing fleets. U.S. aims to stop Chinese illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing by deploying fast response cutters to the West Pacific. Here's actually an image of a bunch of Chinese boats tied together. Let's see, a picture taken in December 21st, 2019 of a South Korean helicopter shows 12 fishing boats, Chinese fishing boats, banded together with ropes to thwart an attempt by South Korean Coast Guards to ships to stop their alleged illegal fishing in the Yellow Sea off the coast of South Korea. Tokyo, this is from Tokyo. White House National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien announced on October 23rd that the U.S. Coast Guard, the USCG, will deploy its new fast response cutters in the West Pacific to interdict Chinese fishing fleets' alleged predatory activities and ensure freedom of navigation. The White House statement said that the People's Republic of China's illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing and harassment of vessels operating in the exclusive economic zones of other countries in the Indo-Pacific threatens our sovereignty, as well as the sovereignty of our Pacific neighbors and endangers regional stability. To that end, the USCG is strategically home porting significantly enhanced first response cutters in the West Pacific. In fiscal year 2021, the USCG plans to evaluate the feasibility and basing fast response cutters in American Samoa. If the survey is favorable, the United States could further expand its presence in the South Pacific. So, I mean, we all know that the tensions between our countries are fairly high right now. You know, it's, I mean, Joe Biden, you know, we see Trump's ad. He's basically just sucking on China's member. If, for lack of wanting to swear as much as I would like to about that whole situation. But that's really what it feels like. Oh, China's not so bad. Oh, you know, China's economy, China taking over the world isn't the worst thing. It's like, yes, it is, Biden. They're literally trying to undermine, and they are open about wanting the entire world under their boot. They are open about it. They talk about it. They say the world would be better if they controlled everything. How does that not scare you, Biden? How can anyone vote for Biden? He literally wants to sell our country to China. He probably already did. If you know, honestly, I think it probably did. It wouldn't surprise me. So this whole thing about fishing, I mean, I'm all right with it because the oceans are totally overfished. I think we don't understand the true value of the oceans. In fact, the oceans are truly our lungs. Check this out. It's just a random little thing. We've often heard rainforests are the lungs of the earth, providing us with most of our required oxygen. While it is indeed true that rainforests may produce up to a quarter of atmospheric oxygen, most of it is consumed by rainforests themselves by degradation of organic matter. Most of our atmospheric oxygen actually comes from the oceans. Now, I'm not reading that to get into that side of it, but that's the truth. The ocean actually provides most of our oxygen that we breathe. Now, when we overfish the oceans and when we are dumping stuff in the oceans and we think, oh, the ocean is so vast and so big, and then all of a sudden, you know, the entire balance of the ocean gets disrupted, and then it, you know, a certain type of algae might take over the entire ocean and just not produce oxygen anymore. Well, we'd be screwed if that was the case. And I found an interesting article here. This is from MSN. Not my favorite source of news, but it's dead on the money with what I was thinking. The U.S.-China fight over fishing is really about world domination. That's exactly what I was thinking when I saw that. When I first read about us sending, you know, these little ships over there, the cutters, to try to prevent them from overfishing. It's just going to spark a war. I mean, China already is saying, get out of our South China Sea. This is our waters, okay? Even though that's breaking a treaty that they themselves signed back in, I don't remember when they signed that treaty, but it was about international waters. And China is basically, we don't care. Look, now they're trying to fish south of Korea, and just wherever they want to, basically. So us sending vessels out there, I feel, is just going to push them, maybe not into a war. I don't want to say that. Well, let's just read about this here. China's aggressive, sometimes illegal fishing practices are the latest source of conflicts with the United States. China has the largest fishing fleet. Beijing claims to send around 2,600 vessels out to fish across the globe, but some maritime experts say this distant water fishing fleet may number nearly 17,000. That is a significant boost. That is 14,400 more vessels than they're claiming. The United States has fewer than 300 distant waterships. According to the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, nations control marine resources within 200-mile exclusive economic zones. Beyond that are international waters. While the U.S. never signed the treaty, it has declared the 200-mile offshore exclusive economic zone. Bolstered by generous subsidies and at times protected by armed Coast Guard cutters, Chinese fishermen have been illegally fishing near the Korean Peninsula and in the South China Sea, a hotly contested area claimed by 6 countries. By exploiting these waters, China has become has come to dominate the international squid market. Nearly half of the catch is exported to other Asian nations, Europe, and United States. Chinese ships have even pushed as far as Africa and South America, where fishermen have been known to remove their identifying flags to avoid detection. In 2017, Ecuador caught 20 Chinese fishermen in the environmentally protected Galapagos Marine Reserve and sentenced them to 4 years in prison for capturing thousands of sharks, the primary ingredient in Chinese delicacy, shark fin soup. In August, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo criticized China for predatory fishing practices that violated the sovereign rights of the jurisdiction of coastal states. This is getting out of hand. I mean, they are literally acting. China basically acts like the world is already theirs. Let's be honest. They do. They basically pay for whatever they want, and greed is prevalent in the human race. We'll put it that way. And they are basically buying out poor countries that can't afford to enter the new age, the technological age that we're in, by saying, hey, we'll pay for your airports, we'll pay for your infrastructure, and you can pay us back. 5 years go by. Okay, the checks due. Oh, you can't pay us? That's fine. We just own the land that everything we built is on. Now that's ours. That's now Chinese land. This is happening. This has been happening. They are slowly taking over the world, and we are literally standing in their way. President Trump is standing in their way. Biden wants to sell them out. Biden keeps talking about how China's great. China's not a threat. China. It's like, okay, yeah. We definitely need to worry about China because they admitted multiple times they want to control the planet. The entire planet. They said the planet would be better off if everything was under our control. They said that. They want control of the planet. So this fishing thing, this is them just pushing and pushing and pushing. And now that we are sending these boats, the U.S. Coast Guard, these cutter ships, okay, these fast response cutters in the Western Pacific, I have a feeling this might spark something that we don't want. I don't want to go to war. I don't want anyone to die. I want everyone to be happy and have a wonderful life, and I'm finding out that it's not very easy to achieve that. And it's really a shame, because I feel like this is going to spark something. We already were worried about the whole South China Sea, them doing a flyover. They lased one of our ships back in April, I believe, or maybe it was March. They're pushing the limits of what they can do. Now they're sending out ships, fishing wherever they want. I mean, they're not coming over fishing Hawaii. They're not fishing the Americas because, we have a pretty tight locked grid around our country, I'm sure. But, when we start sending our stuff over there to protect, what happens when China shoots and destroys one of our cutter ships, one of our Coast Guard ships? I fear it's going to happen. I see that it could definitely lead to that, and that's something that I fear. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to go to war, but I mean, how do we stop it? It's out of our hands. It's not, I can't do anything about it. I can't do, the only thing I can do is talk about it. This is my platform. This is what I can do. I can tell everyone to go vote for Trump because I believe he's the best, and China definitely wants to take over the world because I believe they do. From all of the research that I've done over the past 9 months of basically just my eyes glued into the news and paying attention to everything that's going on. Oh, man, we need to protect the oceans. I am very environmentally conscious. I do want to protect the environment. And, everyone tries to say that, Trump is against the environment, but it's like, he's actually not. He gave $4 billion to protect, our national parks and rehab them and help keep them protected. I don't know if you know about this. This happened about a month and a half ago. I mean, he's making big moves. Sure, okay. He took us out of the Paris Accords. Well, of course, we were also still moving towards a green. Everyone likes to say that we're not in this moving towards green energy. We are moving there. But everyone also has to understand that the world still revolves around fossil fuels. We can't just turn it off. Okay? We can't just end it. We have to wean ourselves off. Okay? We have to have an alternative source that makes sense, that is viable. Because right now, solar isn't necessarily viable. Neither is wind energy. I mean, we're working towards it, but we're not essentially there.